Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jan Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parasatacharya, Ashtatara Sata Shri Śrīmad, His Divine Grace of High Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, Grantharaj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki, Samaveta Bhaktivedanta ki, Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, Canto 1, Chapter 3, text number 36. Okay, please repeat. Saha va idam vishvam amoghalilaha srijate avati ati na Sajjate asmin bhuteshu cha antarhitaha atmatantraha shadvargikam jigrate shadguna ishaha. Everyone got the right page yet? Everyone ready? It's text number 36, chapter 3. Sava idam vishvam amogalilaha. Sava idam vishvam amogalilaha. Srijatya vachyati nasajyate smin. Srijatya vachyati nasajyate smin. Bhuteshu chantarhita atmatantraha. Bhuteshu chantarhita atmatantraha. Shadvargikam jigrati shadguneshaha. Shadvargikam jigrati shadguneshaha. Sava idang vishvam amogalilaha. Srijatya vachyati nasajyate smin. Bhuteshu chantarhita atmatantraha. Shadvargikam jigrati shadguneshaha. Okay, your turn.
Sava idam vishvam amogalilaha.
Sava idam vishvam amogalilaha.
Srijatya vachyati nasajyate smin.
Srijatya vachyati nasajyate smin.
Bhuteshu chandarhita atmatantraha.
Shadvargikam jigrati shadguneshaha. Sava idam vishvam amogalilaha. Srijatya vachyati nasajyate smin. Bhuteshu chantarhita atmatantraha.
Shadvargikam jikrate shadguneshaha. Keyword for word, Saha, the Supreme Lord. Va, alternately. Idam, this. Vishvam, manifested universes. Amoghalilaha, one whose activities are spotless. Srijate, creates. Avati ati, maintains and annihilates. Na, not. Sajjate, is affected by. Asmin, in them. Bhuteshu, in all living beings. Cha, also. Antarhitaha, living within. Atmatantraha, self-independent. Shadvargikam, endowed with all the potencies of his opulences. Jigrate, superficially attached, like smelling the fragrance. Shatguna Ishaha, master of the six senses. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Lord, whose activities are always spotless, is the master of the six senses and is fully omnipotent with six opulences. He creates the manifested universes, maintains them and annihilates them without being in the least affected. He is within every living being and is always independent. Purport. The prime difference between the Lord and the living entities is that the Lord is the creator and the living entities are the created. Here he is called the Amogha Lila, which indicates that there is nothing lamentable in his creation. Those who create a disturbance in his creation are themselves disturbed. He is transcendental to all material afflictions because he is full with all six opulences, namely wealth, power, fame, beauty, knowledge and renunciation. And thus he is the master of the senses. He creates these manifested universes in order to reclaim the living beings who are within them, suffering threefold miseries, maintains them, and in due course annihilates them without being in the least affected by such actions. He is connected with this material creation very superficially, as one smells odour without being connected with the odorous article. Non-godly elements, therefore, can never approach him despite all endeavours. Sava idam vishvam amogha lila srijatchavachyati nasajyatismin bhuteshu chantarhita atmatantraha sadvargikam jikrati shadguneshaha. The Lord, whose activities are always spotless, is the master of the six senses and is fully omnipotent with six opulences. He creates the manifested universes, maintains them and annihilates them without being in the least affected. He is within every living being and is always independent. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Katamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Panchakalpa Tarupyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyaevacha Patitanam Bhavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I'm feeling ecstatic to be in New York. It's a lovely temple. So focused on preaching. There's a book, anyone read the book Blazing Sadhus? It's by Chutananda Prabhu. One time Prabhupada said there are two types of disciple. There are the sons of the Guru and the daughters. So the daughters are more interested in the assets. So in today's ISKCON, some devotees are very interested in building temples, fundraising for that purpose, making sure that all the finances goes towards maintaining and expanding property. So they're like the daughters of the spiritual master, and they serve an important function. But then the sons of the spiritual master, their more focus is on the mission. They're more interested in, well, okay, property in and of itself is not so valuable, but if we're actually chanting Hare Krishna on the streets, if we're distributing books, this is the instruction of the spiritual master, and we should give focus to that. So those who think that way, they're likely sons of the spiritual master. And one time, Prabhupada said something.
Did you say Prabhupada said that? Sorry.
Yes, Prabhupada. It's quoted by Achyutananda Prabhu. And if you go to the database, you'll find another interesting comment Prabhupada once made. He said, I'm the only son of my spiritual master. My other god brothers, they are like daughters. They stayed within the institution, but I inherited the business. So the idea is like daughters stay at home and they get married. Sons inherit the business of the father. So Prabhupada himself put himself in the category of he's the son. So we should aspire to be like, I think, for me personally, I think the sons are more inspiring than the daughters. But the daughters serve a purpose as well. So I'm thinking this ashram is like a lot of sons here in this ashram. Sons where focus is more on the mission. Which is why I came. Now I was talking with Kulashekar Prabhu, we do Harinam in London. And we started this Harinam program. Well, actually, it already existed, but it was like 2 Harinams. There was an afternoon Harinam every Thursday. Well, every day at Soho there's an afternoon Harinam. It's a couple of hours. But on Thursdays they had an evening Harinam. We were thinking, well, if we join them and then we add a morning Harinam, then we can make an 8-hour Harinam. So that's what we started doing. It happened just, well, I was prodding Kulashekar. I was poking fun at him, saying, he doesn't go out on Harinam enough. So he turned it on me and he said, well, if you're that fired up about Harinam, why aren't you going out 8 hours? So he challenged me. So I said to him, okay, you organise an 8-hour Harinam and we'll go on Harinam. And then before you know it, I'd already organised it myself and we all went on 8-hour Harinam. We went on we had a few versions. We had a 6-hour one, we had an 8-hour one, and we once had an 11-hour one. And then it was winter time, so we stopped for a while. And then one day, the next year, I said to him, I texted him and I said, remember that day we did 11-hour Harinam? I said to him, looking back on it, that was my favourite day of the year. And he wrote back saying, I feel the same way. Then we thought, we'll have to do more of this. He said, why don't we organise? We said, well, we want to do 24 hours Harinam. So what we'll do is we'll do it over 3 days. So we had 8 hours every Thursday for 3 Thursdays. And we organised it, and we were quite surprised. Quite a lot of people came. And then we thought, well, we'll just carry it on. So that's when it started. And then, ever since then, every Thursday, we go out and do 8 hours of Harinam. And we were like blissed out. I mean, I was feeling so blissful when we started this program. But then after a while, we noticed, well, look, we're still doing it, and it's really blissful, but it's not as blissful as when we started. It's like we got an extra bit of mercy. Then we thought, we need to do a Harinam marathon. Because it seems that Krishna's like that. Whatever you do, he'll give you an initial taste, but then if you want more taste, you have to then surrender more. He doesn't let you just settle. You can't just say, well, give me the nectar, I'm going to do this amount. We have to always be increasing. So then we started making plans. We'll do a Harinam marathon. We'll do every day for maybe a week or something. And then we had different ideas. Travel around England, stay in hotels, cheap hotels, and do a travelling one. Go to Tenerife, they have a temple in Tenerife. There's beaches, people are in a happy mood, a lot of tourists. We go to Mayapur, we go to different islands and do it that way. We're going to Africa, because from the UK Yatra, Tribhuvannath is quite famous. He used to go to Africa, and that was ecstatic. And if you go to Africa, you go to the villages, everyone dances. They don't walk past you. New York's quite good. I notice in the subway a lot of people are dancing. But Africa, it's like that. You go into a village and everyone dances. At least that's what I've heard. And then we were thinking, well, how's it going to work? We were kind of eyeing up different options. And then out of the blue, Gopal, I think you know Gopal, used to do 24-hour kirtan. He's married, though he's having marriage problems. But he's in England with his daughter, and he comes on our Harinam on Thursdays. He has to leave early because he has to pick up his daughter from school. Then he just, out of the blue, he said, oh, Ram Roy in New York, he's saying there's not enough people. Some people are going to India. You'd be good for that. You should go to New York. So I asked Kula Shaker, what do you fancy? Fancy the idea? He's like, yeah, it's great. And before you know it, we bought tickets and it was all happening. You see? So we had the desire to do a Harinam marathon, and Krishna arranged for us to come here. And I think this is great because I was always aware of this program, because it's different. Because it's so difficult to keep Harinam Sankirtan going. Even though it's the essence of our movement, it's just the first thing that people will drop. Oh, we don't have enough money, we'll drop the Harinam and we'll find some other... It's just the way it works. So it's very inspiring that you keep this program going. So so it's wonderful for us. We get our marathon. We're coming up to a new level. We're going to try and do 30, 40 hours of Harinam in 10 days or something, whatever it works out as. And we're going to go back, and maybe we might do some sit-down kirtans in London, because we're having the idea maybe in summertime as parks we could do the same. We'll see what develops. We'll keep you informed if you're interested. That's just a little introduction. We stop at past, right? Before then? Yeah, okay. I won't keep you waiting. Prasad will be on its way. So today's verse, very interesting. Okay, the chapter, Krishna is the source of all incarnations. Does anyone know there's a verse in the second canto, Atra Sargo, Visargascha, Stanam Poshanam, Uttaya, is it? Manvantari Shanu Kata, Niroda Muktir Ashraya. This is explaining the 10 topics of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Now actually it's the 10 topics of the Mahapuranas. Any Purana has to cover those 10 topics. Sarga, creation, Visarga, subcreation, like when Lord Brahma creates. Stanam is like astronomy, or it's like the structure of the universe. Poshanam, like Prahlad Maharaj, is always maintained by the Lord. So this principle that the Lord gives us shelter, that's Poshanam. Uttaya, creative impetus. Manvantara means the periods of the Manus. Isha Anukata, this is this chapter, means describing the avatars. Isha Anukata means all the topics of the pastimes of various avatars. So many avatars are discussed in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And this chapter is like an introduction. And because it's an introduction, if anyone's read Adi Lila, there's a little debate going on about who is the Supreme, is it Vishnu or Krishna? Because some people in this chapter, there's the famous statement, Eti Changsha Kala Pumsha, Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. They're all avatars of Puman, Eti Changsha Kala Pumsham. Of the Puman means the male, it means Vishnu. But then Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. But Krishna is Bhagavan Swayam. There's an argument. Some Vaishnavas say, well, this verse is saying that Vishnu is the source and Krishna comes from Vishnu, because he's already listed Krishna as one of the avatars. But then there's a whole grammatical way you can look at this. And if you go to Adi Lila, you'll find Krishna Das Kaviraj talking about it and saying, this is false grammar. If you actually look at it properly, it actually means something else. And one of his arguments is, although Krishna was mentioned, we know nothing about him. So as a rule of grammar, the predicate comes after the subject. So if we don't know anything about Krishna, we can't now say that verse applies to Krishna. Eti, or that first line applies to Krishna. If you say Eti Changsha Kala Pumsham, that you can't apply that to Krishna because we don't know anything about Krishna. And the next line is the real meaning is Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. So it's saying that ultimately Vishnu comes from Krishna and not vice versa. But it doesn't matter in some ways, because they're both Vishnu Tattva. No example in when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to South India, he stayed with Venkatabat, who was a Sri Vaishnav, worshipper of Vishnu, and he made fun of him. And he said, why is it Lakshmi, the chaste wife of Vishnu, is attracted to Krishna? He's making fun. And Venkatapat, he answered, he said, Siddhantatas Tvavedi Shri, not Siddhantatas Tvavedi Pi, Shrisha Krishna Swarupayor. Rasa not Krishna Ti Krishna, Esha Rupa Stita Rasaha. That according to Siddhanta, Krishna and Sri Isha, which means Narayan, are the same. But in terms of rasa, Krishna is greater. So he accepted that actually, in terms of rasa, Krishna is greater, but there's no violation of chastity, because according to Siddhanta, Narayan and Krishna are the same. Now in today's purport, there's a name for Krishna, Amoga Lila. Now Amoga, you know, it's a verse in the Bhagavad Gita that Jayadurya Swami quoted yesterday. Moga Sha, Moga Karmano, Moga Jnana Vichetasaha, Rakshashim Asharam Chaiva, Prakritim Mohinam Shritaha. That the demons, they are baffled. The word Moga means baffled. Moga Asha, their desires are frustrated. They may desire liberation from this world, but they are frustrated. Moga Karmana, their activities are frustrated. They may endeavour to do things, but they never quite get what they want. Moga Jnana, the cultivation of knowledge is ultimately futile because it does not take them back to Godhead. And what is the reason for this? And it's Prakritim Mohinam Shritaha. They are taking shelter of the illusory energy. You see? So, Moga, in this context, Prabhupada says, Moga means activities are spotless. They're pure. So if Moga means like a fault, then when the activity is faultless, then it's Amoga. So Krishna's Leelas are all Amoga. Means there's no fault with them. So we're talking about chastity. So some people, they like to fault Krishna's Leela. They say, oh, Krishna's dancing with the gopis, they are married to someone else. But in the 10th canto, it said, Rame Ramesho Braja Sundaribi Yatarbaka Sva Pratibimba Vibramaha. That Krishna's dancing with the gopis is like a child playing with his shadow. So the idea being is that, once again, we talk philosophically here, that Krishna is the source of the gopis. Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavita Bhista Birya Eva Nijarupataya Kalabhihi Goloka Eva Nivasatya Kilat Vabhuta Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. That because the gopis are Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavi, means they're absorbed in Ananda Chin's pure spiritual energy, and that pure spiritual energy is coming from Krishna. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchid Ananda Vigraha. He's Satchid Ananda, the gopis are Satchid Ananda, the gopis are emanating from Krishna's energy. Abhinatvan Nama Nama Noho, that's the name, and Krishna are on different, and what's the other one? Shakti Matayor Abheda. There's no difference between Shakti and Shaktiman. Krishna is the possessor of potency, Shaktiman, and the potency is Shakti, and because they're not different, there's no fault in Krishna's Leela. So even when he's dancing with the gopis, because that's usually the Leela that people get a bit upset about, even that is Amoga, meaning it is spotless. And Shukadeva Goswami says something else. He says, Kaminam Darshayam Dainyam Strinam Chaiva Duratmatam. When you compare Krishna's Leela with the mundane Leela of men and women in this world, then you come to the conclusion that men are lusty and women are hard-hearted. That is actually what, if you can see into this Leela, it's obvious, because how many people get married with high hopes and how many people get frustrated? And in today's society, the majority of marriages end in divorce. And a lot of people, I mean, I don't know what it's like in New York, but we do London Harinam, and then on the buses they advertise, there's this website, dating website, be single and shine. They're no longer saying it's not good to be single. They say it's better to be single because you can shine and you can have lots of Leela of your own. They're actually glorifying it. So this is, religion is irreligion, and irreligion is irreligion in Kali Yuga. So they're advertising it. Don't get hooked up. Be single and shine. And here's the little dating website, and it's on the buses. You go through London. It's just Kali Yuga. So if you see behind it all, that's why marriages break down. Because the women can be a bit hard-hearted. Of course, the men can be hard-hearted too. Lust and hard-heartedness, they both have them. But in this particular statement of Shukadeva Goswami, he's saying that you get a taste for Krishna's Leela, then you'll have divine vision. You'll be able to see that it's just lust and selfishness. And that is the reason why it's so hard for two people to stay together in married life in Kali Yuga. So that's Krishna Amoga Leela. I'll say something about these. The word shad means 6. So it's mentioned twice in the verse. Shad Vargakam, which means endowed with all the potencies of his opulences. So as we know, the Lord is Shad Aishvarya Purna, full of 6 opulences. And the word Vargika, anyone heard this word, Vargika? The word Varga means category. For example, you've all heard of Apavarga, meaning liberation. And Prabhupada, in Nectar of Devotion, he explains the meaning of this word. It means not Pavarga. And Pavarga means conditioned life. And it comes from the Sanskrit word. The Varga means, the Sanskrit words are arranged in rows, in categories called Vargas, depending on which part of the mouth you use to speak. So the Pavarga means like the labials, it's called in English. All the letters you use, the consonants you use your lips to pronounce. P, pa, as in aspirated, ba, pa, and ma. You all have to close your mouth, close your lips to do that. That's why ventriloquists, they're very good at imitating these words these sounds without moving the lips. It's very difficult to say pa if you're a ventriloquist. Very difficult. I can't do it. Can't even try. Anyway, and these words, they mean, pa means parabhav, means defeat. So in this material world, we're all defeated in our endeavours. And pa means pena, which means foam. We work so hard, like the animals when they're the horse or the donkey. It works so hard, it foams at the mouth. So we're compared to that. We try so hard to get something out of life that we just become mad. And we're like asses of burden, and we're foaming at the mouth. And then ba means bandha, bondage. Our desires become our bonds. We're stuck, attached to this world due to our desires. Asha, pasha, shatai, badha. The demons are bound in this world by hundreds of desires. And then pa means bhaya, or fear, because we're in this material world, we're in a fearful condition. And I was so interested, I found this interesting when we were out on Harinam yesterday, this little sign on one of the, I don't know, maybe it was a bin or something, they said, fear nobody, or something like that. I was thinking, well, I wonder what that's there for. That's a nice idea. We should fear no one. We should take shelter of Krishna. Bhayam dutiya binaveshata shadi shada petasha viparya yo smritihi. Fear comes from turning our back on Krishna. So if we worship the Guru, we will become fearless. And the name for Srila Prabhupada when he took initiation, Abhay Charan Aravinda, he's fearless because he has taken shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. Okay, so that's Bhaya, and Ma means mrityu, means death. So death is the inevitable consequence of birth. Once you're born, you have to die. So these 5 things, which were defeat, parabhav, pena, foaming at the mouth due to over endeavour, bandha, bondage, bhaya, fear, and ma, mrityu, death. This is what comes with conditioned life. And these together are called pavarga. And then when you negate it, liberation is the opposite of pavarga, it is apavarga. So the word apavarga is there in our scriptures everywhere. And that's where it comes from. And I said that because I was explaining what the word varga means. And here vargika. But I had a thought, which I think is quite relevant. These 6 opulences, there's categories within them. There are 6 categories. And I'll give you an example. In Jaiva Dharma, which is written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, there's a discussion about the word Allah. Allah means great. He's greater than the greatest. So in the discussion, it's explained that, yes, he's greater than the greatest, And that is one of the opulences of Bhagavan Krishna. You see, Krishna is full of 6 opulences. One of them is Aishvarya. He's full of all power. It's mentioned in his power is translated as power in the purport, the 6 opulences. But what is power? If you take mystic power, it has 8 categories. Anima, smaller than the smallest. Mahima, greater than the greatest. Lagima, lighter than the lightest. What other one's Prapti, you can just acquire anything. Ushit is Ishitva, you can create like a god. Isha means like controller, you can create your own planet. Vashita, you can control other people's minds. There's Prakamya, you can get what you desire. And Kamavasayita, the 8th one, is similar to Prakamya. You can get what you desire, but you can even break laws of nature to do so. It's a very powerful opulence. So in Jaiva-dharma it's explained, yes, Allah means greater than the greatest, but that's Mahima. But what about Anima, Lagima, all the other ones? That is also within Bhagavan. And these 8 are only one of the 6 opulences: beauty, wealth, fame, etc. So in other words, Allah, the word Allah by itself means just one of the 8 parts of one of the 6 parts of Bhagavan. And it's a fictitious conversation, although some people argue that anything that is envisioned by pure devotees, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, must exist somewhere. So it's not more than fiction. Anyway, in the conversation, the Muslim replies, yes, this is very good. And when I say Allah, I'm thinking of these things. So you can have a broad conception of the word Allah. It's not that we're saying it's necessarily a constricted definition of Bhagavan. If a Muslim has the heart to see the greater picture, then Allah can mean all those things, you see. So therefore, Shadvargika means 6 categories, and I think that's probably significant. I haven't read the purports of the Acharyas, but Vargika means not just 6 opulences, but 6 categories of opulence. So maybe Krishna's beauty can be looked at from so many angles. His lips are beautiful, his eyes are beautiful, the way he walks is beautiful. Of course, beauty and sweetness, they're similar, right? And there's this Maduram, was it? Madhuradi Pater Akilam Maduram. Everything is sweet about the Lord of sweetness. It's a wonderful bhajan that we can sing. Describes how everything about Krishna is sweet. His smiling is sweet, his walking is sweet, his talking is sweet, his eyes are sweet, I think. There's so many things. His garland is sweet. Everything is sweet about Krishna. So if you look at beauty, you could look at beauty from so many angles. And that is the nature of the Lord, that you can try to describe the Lord. It's actually in the next verse. You can't describe him with words. Mano vacho bihi. Words and the mind, they cannot fully reach the Supreme. And it said Ananta Shesh has unlimited mouths, and he's always glorifying the Lord, but he can never get to an end of glorifying the Lord, because Krishna's wonders are expanding even greater than Ananta Shesh can speak of. The Lord's, everything's expanding, and his Leela's expanding, his love for Radha is expanding, Radharani's love for Krishna is expanding, and it's just one big wonderful expanding bliss. Which reminds me of one time, there was one lecture I was listening to, Ayendra Prabhu, and he was in Vrindavan, and he was discussing with devotee from the Nimbarka Sampradaya, and they were arguing, saying, the Lord's pastimes are ever increasing, therefore his union with Radharani is ever increasing bliss, so there's no need for any separation, because their Sampradaya, their goal is not, well, their highest mood is not separation. They see separation as something that's not so much what they want. They want union. They want their mood is, we want Radha and Krishna together. But in the Gaudiya Vaishnava, it's slightly different. It's they both are there. Na bina vit pralambe na sambhogam pushti mashnati. That sambhog or union is nourished by separation. The two go together. So when this follower of the Nimbarka Sampradaya said, the union of Radha and Krishna is ever increasing, Rajendra's response was, yes, there's ever increasing, there's more ever increasing, and there's most ever increasing. So he swung it round and said, but the separation is ever increasing as well. So you can have ever increasing union, but that's perfect. But more than that is ever increasing separation, and that is our mood, the mood of the Goswamis. So we were singing yesterday the Sad Goswami Astikam. So it's Gosanta Vidi Sarvato Brajapuri Kedair Maha Vifalaha. They are the Goswamis are in pain. Kedair Vifali. They're overwhelmed with pain. Why? Hey Radhe Brajadeviki Chalita. They're calling out, where are you, Radha? Where's Krishna? Where's Govardhan Hill? This mood, something very, very amazing. We cannot understand it. It looks like pain. On the outside it's pain, but on the inside it's bliss. So who can understand this? Anyway, so this is my attempt to glorify. I'm just trying to say something to glorify the Lord, because glorification of the Lord is what's known as kirtan. Kirtan, sometimes we think kirtan means chanting Hare Krishna, and that is actually the essence of kirtan. It's the Nam Kirtan is the highest type of kirtan. But then there's Guna Kirtan, describing the qualities of the Lord. Lila Kirtan, describing his pastimes. There's also Rupa Kirtan, we describe the form of the Lord. And when we read Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, that is Kirtan. And it's said that Parikshit Maharaj, he became perfect from hearing, and Shukadeva Goswami was perfect from Kirtan or speaking. So when Shukadeva Goswami spoke Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, that is Kirtan. So when we have Bhagavatam class, the speaker is speaking, that is Kirtan. See? So Kirtan is the essence. Now, there's a general little theme, this kind of theme going through the translation on the purport, about how the Lord is not affected. The idea is, he's creating and yet he's not affected. And it reminds me of a verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is kind of applicable today, because we're going to meet the Shaivites today, right? There's something going on. I don't know the details, but there's some. We want to try and give them Krishna. Anyone know what is it?
They're just going Shivarati, they're going to some temple to distribute books.
So what's the name of the temple here? Is there a Shiva temple, or is it?
I'm not sure.
But there's a group of Hindus that worship Shila Shiva.
Like a Hindu temple.
Okay. So it's said in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Shiva Maya Shakti Sangi Tama Gunavesh Maya Tita Gunatita Vishnu Paramesh. That Shiva is affected by the Maya Shakti Sangi, and it's just due to he's married to Maya Devi, personified, right? So sometimes Lord Shiva gets angry, and Prabhupada says something very interesting. He says, at that time, when he's not angry, he's a Mahabhagavat. There's some purport like that. He says, when he's not angry, he's Mahabhagavat, but sometimes he gets temporarily affected by the mode of Tamagun, because that is just, he's the Lord of the Tamagun. He's known as Dina Vatsala, friend of the fallen, because his particular service, although he's the greatest Vaishnava, his particular service is to help people in the mode of ignorance to gradually develop up to by being Vaishnavas. So therefore, people in the mode of ignorance, they worship Lord Shiva, and unknowingly they're worshipping the Vaishnav. So they are benefiting, like Yamaraj. The Yamadutas, they didn't understand, Veda, Pranihita, Dharma, Hyadama, Tadvipariyas. They said, whatever's in the Vedas, that's Dharma. Anything else is Adharma. That was what they said to the Vishnudutas, the Yamadutas. And then when the Yamadutas went to Yamaraj, he said something else. Dharman tu shakshat bhagavat pranitam. That Dharma means whatever the Lord enacts. And they were shocked, because they were like feeling suicidal, it's described. Because they thought Yamaraj is the highest. Our master's order has been thwarted. And this is very disturbing. And he told them, Dharman tu shakshat bhagavat pranitam savayvadu rishyo napi deva nasidamukya asura manusha kuto nuvidyadara charanadaya. That even the demigods, the sages, the Vidyadaras, the Charanas, Asuras, Manushas, none of them understand Dharma. Dharma is so confidential. In the Mahabharata, Dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam. Dharma is within the soul, within the heart of the pure devotee. So we are so fortunate that Srila Prabhupada has come, and you can see the effect of what he had. He's carrying Dharma in his heart, and when he speaks, people listen. Therefore there was a Hare Krishna explosion due to the purity of this individual, because he had Dharma within his heart. And without that, Prabhupada said, so many Gitas, he said something like 600 editions, and that was then, there's so many more now. He said so many editions of the Gita, but who became a devotee? But then when his divine ecstasy, Bhagavad Gita as it is, then suddenly it happens, all these devotees are made. You know, can you think of a Gita that has a society connected around it? I don't know any. Maybe there are, I don't know. This Gita is not just a Gita, it's living, there's a whole living culture based on this Gita. Temples have this Gita, so it's no ordinary Gita. This is the power of the pure devotee. So going back to this verse, Shiva Maya Shakti Sangi Tamaguna Vesh. Sometimes Lord Shiva is under Tamagun, inconceivable. And we shouldn't criticize him for it, because it's part of his function to be the controller of Tamagun. But then, Maya Tita Guna Tita, Vishnu Paramesh. But for Vishnu, he's Maya Atita. He's beyond Maya, Guna Atita. He's beyond the modes. Therefore, when he creates, he's aloof simultaneously. And who can do that? Who can create, do a job without being affected by it? In the Bhagavad Gita it says, Namam limpanti karmani. Now, Krishna says, I am not affected by work. Name karma pale spriyaha. I have no desire to enjoy the fruits of my work. Iti mam yo bijanate. Karma bir nasa bhajati. And if one knows this truth about Krishna, then that person will also not be affected by work. So we see how realization, knowledge, it enables us to act in this world without being affected by work. We may theoretically know, but we're still affected by our work. Every activity we do, it creates an impression on our heart. So if we're not pure, it will create what's known as kuta, inclination. So what's one of the reactions? What are the reactions to work? Kuta, bij, palomukha, parabdha. You know these things. Not only do you suffer, but you also get an inclination to do the activity, which solidifies into bij, which is an actual desire. For example, someone may enjoy with a woman, and it creates the desire to do it again, and it may be general. Then that desire, that general mood solidifies into a bij, which is like you start picking this woman, you know, I'm going to speak to her, and you start planning it. It becomes a seed of desire, and next thing you know, you perform an activity again, abominable activity, and it creates another seed. And then there's reactions as well. Prarabdha. We get reaction for not following Dharma. This is the whole process. But when we have this knowledge of Krishna, you know, this realization that he's not affected by work, then we too are not affected by work. And I find this quite amazing, because it's like when you understand the quality of Krishna, then you develop that quality in minute quantity. Another example, if you know the Lord is unborn, you know, Janma Karma, one of the most quoted verses of Prabhupada, Janma Karma Chamidavyam Ivam Yoveti Tatvadaha Tatvadiham Punajama Naiti Mameti Sojana, that if one knows the birth, understands the birth and activities of the Lord, then that person is no longer born again. So what does it mean to understand the Lord's birth? It means to understand that he is unborn, a Jopi son. Although I am unborn, still prakritim mam adishtaya sambhavangat mamaya. I still manifest every yuga, even though I'm unborn. So when you know the Lord is simultaneously born and unborn, then guess what happens? You become unborn as well. Your cycle of birth and death finishes. Naiti mam eti sojana. He does not eti. He does not take punarjanma, not eti, but eti sojana iti. Mam eti. He goes to me. He comes to me. So that's wonderful. The wonderful nature of Krishna. Whatever you understand about Krishna, you will develop that quality to minute quantity, in a minute sense, because nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam. He's the big and we're the small. What time is it now? Let's see. Must be 1:30 soon. 22 past. We've got 8 minutes left. Shall we ask? We can open. Anyone have any comments or questions? Hare Krishna.
I have a kind of a statement, maybe a conversation starter. Thank you for the class, and also I greatly respect your command of Sanskrit, and
A struggle.
you had a very nice grasp of the word moga.
Moga, yeah, moga.
Yeah, and so I just happened to look up on a dictionary like what moga, because with context and all there can be different meanings. That that can mean pointless or futile.
Futile. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And that amoga, the opposite of that would mean like successful.
Yes.
Or they have a point. So I guess the question maybe attached to that is, could you say that Amoga Lila is saying that it's activities that have a point to them?
Yes, it's a good question. Yeah, let's look at the moga, the different ways different meanings it can have. See, purity, having futility, purity, or impurity and futility, they're two sides of the same thing. If something is not good, it's moga, right? Moga means baffled, it means futile, it means impure, and they're all connected, because if an activity is futile, you cannot say it's pure. If Krishna was defeated in any of his leelas, you can no longer say they're pure leelas. It wouldn't work. So purity implies success, and futility implies a fault, which is moga, which means impurity. So you gave the example of futility. So there's one, okay, we know that there's one term for Krishna is known as Satya Sankalpa. Sankalpa means desire. Whatever he desires, Satya, it becomes true. So in that sense, we can say that every one of Krishna's leelas is perfect, because he exactly accomplishes what he wants. He's never thwarted. I gave the example of Yamaraj. It was a real eye-opener to the Yamadutas, because they thought, Yamaraj is God, and everything he wants, every order, it must come to pass, because he's God. And then when the Vishnudutas come and stop them, they're like, who is this superior force? And they had to really, they were depressed, they were disturbed, and they had to go to their master and find out what's really going on. And it's then that they discovered that actually, in this particular instance, the laws that Yamaraj is given were not amoga, because they were defeated by the Vishnudutas. And at that point, Yamaraj says, you want the real law, don't touch someone wearing tulsi, someone who's chanting Hare Krishna. You keep away from those types. Even if they done it namabas, even if he meant something else. Ajamil, you can't touch him because he's chanted Narayan. So that's the amoga comes from amoga. The real position of amoga is Krishna. So yeah, I agree with what you're saying. And I want, as one other point, for us, Satya Sankalpa, it's just not an option. We can't. I'll give you an example. Who wants to be president of the United States? So many people try, but only one person is going to be Satya Sankalpa in this particular thing. There's only going to be one winner. Or you have competition. You can have open tennis competition. It means anyone in the world can take part, but you just have to go through the qualifiers, and the qualifiers lead to qualifiers. They lead to qualifiers. So potentially, any one of you today could enter a Grand Slam tennis competition, and you go into qualify. If you played enough tennis and you won every match, you'd eventually win the whole thing. So who is Satya Sankalpa? Everyone there is thinking, my desire is to win, but only one person wins. So out of the whole the whole world, I don't even know how many people enter. There's qualifiers, there's pre-qualifiers. It could go on endlessly, So there's probably 1 million tennis players who are in a competition, which if they won would lead to one, which if they won would lead to one, which would ultimately lead to the US Open, for example. So everyone there has a desire, I want to win, but only one person wins. So only Krishna is Satya Sankalpa. His Leela is never defeated. So he's Amoga. And there's a devotee called Amoga, right, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, but actually he was defeated. I think his name was not appropriate. He was a fault finder. Hare Krishna. Anyone else?
So, I'll just move on to the question I had. So, how you mentioned Shravana, of course.
Shravana, yeah.
So the next step to that is Manana. So how
what does that mean? Mana comes after Shravana?
Mananam?
Mananam
Just means contemplation.
Okay. Smaranam, maybe? Remembering. Okay, anyway, carry on.
Manas means mind.
Yeah, okay.
Mananam just means taking what you've heard.
Okay.
And using the gift of the mind to
okay.
think about it.
Well, there's Anuman. It's just an unusual word, Mananam, but not.
That's a Jnana Marg.
Is it?
Shravana Mananam Nididhyasana.
Thank you. It's
So the Jnana Marg focus.
So it's in scripture of.
Yeah, it's a sadhana.
Okay,
sadhana.
thank you.
Hearing, contemplating,
thank you.
visualization.
Carry on. Now I know what you're. Now I know you understand the base of your question.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, thank you. It's coming from I learned. You've taught me. Thank you. I really didn't know Mananam.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, then now that you know, how have you seen devotees try to practice that sadhana?
What Mananam?
Yeah, of contemplation.
Well, okay. I would tie it in with Smaranam, because Smaranam remembers of Krishna. Now, I mean, I'm not qualified to answer this one because I'm just learning about it today. If there's also Anuman, logic. So their application of logic is purifying. So, for example, is to the logicians, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, Sri Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Daya, Koroho Vichar, Vichara Koreti Chitti Papi Chamatkar. If you're attached to logic, if you like to reason, think, if you're a thinker, then apply that thinking to the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Just contemplate his mercy, and then you'll become astonished. So this is an example where the tendency to think is dovetailed by choosing the right object of contemplation, and in this example it's the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, and then it becomes spiritual. So everything, karmana, manasa, gira, activities, words and mind should all be engaged in Krishna's service, right? So when we think of Krishna, or when we use logic in connection to the scriptures, to the words of our acharyas, that is all devotional service because it's dovetailed. And if we're also remembering what we've heard, remembering what we've read, or remembering any realizations we have, that is also the mind dovetailed or engaging in devotional service. So the mind itself is a material element, 8 Bina Prakriti Rastada. There are 8 material elements. The mind is one of them. But when the mind is engaged in the right topic, whether it's through logic, which is intelligence and mind, but also through, I'd say, if you contemplate a description of the Lord, then that's devotional service. So therefore, the mind, although material, when dovetailed, is to our benefit. It is to our benefit, and it becomes spiritualized, and we make spiritual advancement. So that's how I would look at manana. And I think another example, if you go out and do 6 hours of Harinam, then what's going to go through your head after the Harinam? The Mahamantra is just going to go on, right? You probably find, after 6 hours of Harinam, you're in the train and you're just like, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, you're still in that mood. So whatever we engage ourselves in, it becomes like mananam, becomes like a meditation. Hare Krishna. And it's 12:30. I think we should stop. Grantra Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you for tolerating.